Now here in number 39, we're going to take the cube root of this fraction. So we know that we can take the cube root of the top and then the cube root of the bottom. Let's write that. We're going to get the cube root of r squared over the cube root of 27. And now this cube root of r squared, that's as simple as we can get it. This index is bigger than all the exponents. As long as the exponent is smaller than the index, this thing is going to be simplified. But in the bottom, we can take the cube root of 27. We know that's 3. So we're going to get the cube root of r squared over cube root of 27 is 3, right? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. If you don't know that, you just start making some guesses. It's just, what number would you cube to get 27? 1? No. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2? No. 2 times 2 times 2 is only 8. Then you get to 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. These numbers aren't going to be real big, so you can probably make some educated guesses at them. Now what we want to do in number 45 is we want to try to simplify the square root of 28. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to ask myself, can I break 28 into two numbers, one of which I know the square root? Now 28 I know is 4 times 7. So I'm going to write square root of 28 as 4 times 7. And I'm choosing this one. I'm choosing 4 times 7 because I know the square root of 4. I'm not, for example, going to do something like this. Square root of 28, maybe I could write it as like 2 times 14, but this is not going to help us because I don't know the square root of 2. I don't know the square root of 14. So I'm not going to do that. And if I write this one, the square root of 4 times square root of 7, I can break these apart, I know, as the square root of 4 times the square root of 7. Now you see why I use the 4, because the square root of 4 is 2 square roots of 7. We can't do anything with the 7, so we're saying that one of these, if you have one square root of 28, that's the same as having 2 of these square roots of 7. Now in this number 47, we've got the square root of 150, and I'm going to try to break that 150 into two numbers, one of which I know the square root. Now this is kind of a big number, so it might be a little bit of a challenge, but here's maybe how we could think of this. What squares do I know will go into 150? So I might try this. What about 2 squared? 2 squared is 4. 4 does not go into 150, so I'm not going to do that one. What about 3 squared? That's 9. 9 does not divide into 150. That's not going to work. What about 4 squared? That's 16. And if you're not sure, try it on your calculator. 150 divided by 16? No, that doesn't work. What about 5 squared? That's 25. Well, that one does work. Try it on your calculator if you need to. 150 divided by 25 is 6. So 25 times 6 is 150. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to break that 150 into 25 times 6. Now I can break these apart. Square root of 25, square root of 6. Square root of 25 is 5 square roots of 6. And then what we're saying here is that if you have one of these, you have one of a square root, one square root of 150. That's the same as having 5 square roots of 6. Now in number 51, this is what we have here is the negative of this number. Well, 12, I know I can break down into two numbers, one of which I know the square root. I can write this one as negative the square root of 4 times 3. This is going to be negative, you know what, let's write that so we can actually read that negative sign. Square root of 4, square root of 3, square root of 4 is 2. So negative 2 square roots of 3. Let's just be careful here. This is not, right? This problem is not the square root of negative 12. This negative sign is outside, giving us the opposite of this number. We don't have the square root of negative because this one we know is not a real number. Now here in number 55, again, we've got a pretty big number in here. Now we're looking for a cube root. So let's look kind of the way we did over here at 47. What I want to think about is what cubes do I know will go into this 270? Well, here's what I know. I know I'm not going to use 1 because 1 cubed is 1. But what about 2 cubed? 2 cubed is 8. Now 270 divided by 8 is not a whole number. So 2 cubed, 8 does not go into 270, so I'm not going to use that one. What about 3 cubed? 3 cubed is 27, and maybe you can see it. 270 divided by 27 is going to be a 10. So this one does work. So what we're going to do then is we're going to write this cube root of 270 as the cube root of 27 times 10. Let's break them apart. Cube root of 27 times the cube root of 10. And the cube root of 27, we know that, that's 3 cube roots of 10. So what we're saying here now is that if you have one of these, you have 1 cube root of 270. That's equivalent to having 3 cube roots of 10.